morning, and thank you for joining us for our weekly press conference. The focus of this morning's press conference is on the Erie Police Athletic League, or PAL for short. Since I became mayor in 2018, I've been amazed at the pace with which PAL has grown and also at the bonds that are being developed. The Erie Police Athletic League is unlocking the power of the cop-kid relationship, helping to reduce crime, promote positive character development, and improve educational outcomes for our children. Officers coach, mentor, teach, play sports, and engage in activities with students during the after-school programs, summer camps, and field trips. When the program first began, students were reluctant to be seen talking to officers when their parents were around. But now, in our 9th school year, students have gotten to know our officers as people. The officers and students are building meaningful relationships that are having long-term impact on our community. I have witnessed the impact on several occasions during summer camps, national night out events, and when delivering gifts to the children at their homes during the holidays. The students are so excited to see the officers that they run up, they hug them, and they start talking to them about their day. With each, students involved have continued to grow, and in 2020, we promoted Lieutenant Tom Lennox to the role of full-time coordinator of the Police Athletic League and recruitment of officers. Thanks to his leadership, service, and passion, the Police Athletic League has grown from 35 students, that was back 2016, 2017, to more than 1,700 students at 27 locations with 120 officers involved. 4 of those officers are full-time and 1 part-time. In order to keep up with demand, the Police Athletic League has ramped up its programs, increasing its reach, and today we are here to announce another very exciting expansion. Now, I would like to introduce Chief Dan Spazzarni from the City of Erie Police Department. Chief Dan co-chairs the Police Athletic League Board, along with Sheriff Chris Campanelli. Thanks to Chief Dan's commitment and dedication, our Erie Police Athletic League is creating a legacy for the future. Chief, the podium is now yours. There you are.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a fantastic program. The words that to describe it are difficult to come by because it's just beyond the belief. What we've seen since 2018, the relationship that these kids have, the trust that they've put in the officers now. But that's really only half the story is what the children are getting, which is wonderful, and that's what it was meant to be. But as the leader of the police department, it's great to see what the officers are getting out of it. And they're also building the relationship with these young kids. They're developing the empathy and trust in the kids. Unfortunately, there was a situation recently where officers were called to a house. There was a tragic incident that had occurred there. And upon their arrival, immediately they saw 2 of the young PAL kids and they recognized them. It was a PAL officer. And that officer was there to support those children as much as do his police work. He was there to help support those children through a very difficult circumstance that family was encountering that day. And it's things like that that are just beyond belief that we can see happen. And so to me, it's just as important to the police department as it is to the children. So I'd like to introduce the executive director, the coach, Lieutenant Lennox. He has his staff here too that also helps. And also we have Ron DiNicola, who's on the board and helped revive the program here at the police department. So I'm very appreciative to every one of them for all their hard work, and look forward to seeing what's going to happen here next door in Mill Creek. Tom Lennox.
Okay, good morning. Thanks for everybody coming. Thank you, Mayor, Chief Mook. And Mill Creek Township Supervisor Kim Clear. Very honored to be up here. I'm going to be brief. Announcing these three initiatives today, I couldn't be more excited standing up here before you. This has been long overdue. I'll talk about boxing first. Just a little history lesson. Our board president, Ron DiNicola, and I remember 9 years ago, him giving me the history lesson essentially back in the 50s, going into 85 when the Police Athletic League was basically no longer continued in the city of Erie. I remember Ron and I having those discussions about incorporating boxing into the Police Athletic League. And after doing a lot of research myself, Erie, obviously, we know has a deep-rooted, rich history in boxing. We've had professionals come out of this area and, actually compete at an extreme high level throughout the world. So it just made sense. Eventually, as we got legs underneath us, after we got the amount of kids into this program, to essentially start specializing in sports and making these two sports that we're going to introduce today to give our kids and our officers, our coaches, an opportunity to train and work year round, not necessarily to compete, but as much, not about competition as much as more than continually develop character in these two sports that we're going to introduce today. So boxing, I'd like to introduce Detective Sergeant Anthony Atala and also Detective Sergeant Nick Stadler. And just to give you a little history with these two officers, I had the opportunity to serve with Detective Sergeant Stadler, who was my partner for 12 to 16 years, to where that's all we talked about. Around our calls, we would always talk about boxing. And I had to educate myself on a lot of these boxers on a professional realm, and I actually felt stupid on many of those nights because Nick, his passion for boxing just goes on. I mean, you'll hear a little bit about Nick from Sergeant Atala, but Sergeant Atala also, again, not only is he an officer for our department, but we're blessed that Anthony, boxed in the amateur division and actually had a couple pro fights. And he's also a family member of our, boxing greats, the Bizarro family, which allowed us the opportunity to train in their gym. So without further ado, and before I introduce Anthony, I just want to let you know in 4 months' time, our 6 athletes are boxers. The level that these kids, from the day that they walked in day one, and to see them 4 months later as, I attend these practices and training sessions, is just unbelievable. And we have 3 of those boxers that the challenge was to get them out of their shell a little bit, to make them more confident human beings. And a couple of those boxers were struggling with some real life issues. And it's been fun to watch what Detective Sergeant Nick and Detective Sergeant Atala have been able to do with our newer boxers in our program. So very excited about that. And I know Ron DiNicola is going to come up and say a few words as well. So without further ado, Sergeant Atala, you want to come up and say a few words?
Hello, everyone. It's kind of hard to believe that we're here because we've been talking about this for, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 years. Me and Lieutenant Lennox have been going back and forth. Said, how cool would this be to have a boxing program for the Police Athletic League? If you guys don't know too much about the Police Athletic League boxing program, it goes way back to probably 1950s, 1960s. That's really all it was a boxing program. As Lieutenant Lennox touched upon, my great uncle, John Bizarro, he was, I believe, ranked number 1 in the world for probably like 3 to 5 years. He fought for 2 world titles back in the 1960s, and he got his start here in Erie for the Police Athletic League boxing program. So it's really important for me to be a part of this. I'm honored to be a part of it, and we're really happy to get this kicked off. I think we started, when was it? November, like 2nd or 3rd with our kids. We took them in right away. We said, hey, we're just going to see how this goes. And so far, it's been awesome. They've made so much progress. They love it. They're calling us for more training days. We have probably 4 kids that are actually going to do an exhibition boxing bout at the Knockout the Homelessness fundraiser for the homeless coming up here. probably February 18th, I believe that is. They're just moving right along. It's going great, and we just got so much to look forward to. My co-coach, Nick Styler, is awesome. He brings so much to the table. Me and him work on different things, and we just have so much planned in the future for these kids, and it's just great to work with them. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Sergeant Atala. Next, I'd like to bring up to say a few words is our board president, Ron DiNicola.
I'm very excited about this on many levels. I had the opportunity to come from a family that had boxing in every aspect of it over the years, and it came on to me as well. I think that and I went on to represent the United States Marine Corps in my position there, and we were able to win the quite a bit work of what we were able to achieve. I think it's the real thing about it is that it brings young boxers, and by the way, they're not just women. I mean, they're not just men, but there's also women boxers who have a great opportunity and want that opportunity. But what I found in it is that you get to meet the people that you are around, and this is the kind of people that you want to be around because they're able to understand how you work and how they might work, and they get that feel, and they can learn things that otherwise they would not learn, and it's a fantastic relationship, the relationship between the fighters and their people that are helping them, because it's not something that you take home necessarily all the time, because you're doing it in your terms, and so a kid's got an opportunity to have that ability to be on his own in that way, in an appropriate way, because he's got this great group of people who can help them go through not just boxing, but you'll have fighters talking about this thing, that thing, this thing, and learning a lot about life. So I'm delighted that it's been done here. And Erie has a really very strong background in boxing. I mean, we have had boxers throughout the years that have been really have put Erie on the map. Johnny Bizzarro is one of the greats. Of course, Louis, of course, and it goes beyond that because we had a lot of fighters over the years. And I'm really also very excited that we are holding on to those historic moments, that we haven't lost those. And I think we're doing a great job to bring those back so that we know all of those principles, all of those things that we did, and now bringing it forward and doing it in a way that will be healthy, happy, and a real big start for them. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ronnie. The next initiative I'd like to introduce, and again, pretty much like I said about the boxing program, when this program first got instituted back in 2018, a lot of people in the community assumed that I was going to immediately start a wrestling program throughout this league. And long story short, this is another one of those initiatives that's been long overdue. Wrestling for me, truth be told, if it wasn't for wrestling, I understand the character building, the good stuff that comes out of it. Dan Gable, one of the famous coaches of all time, basically made a quote that stuck with me, and I think everybody in the wrestling world: once you have wrestled, everything else in life is easy. I know wrestling, I was introduced to wrestling at a very young age, and if it wasn't for wrestling and the lessons that I've learned throughout the sport, I probably wouldn't be standing up here today. That wrestling teaches you so much about yourself, just like boxing. You learn the fundamental values of mental toughness, how to overcome adversity, visiting the dark places where you are struggling in your personal life. And this is one of those sports that I'm super excited that we finally are making it official because we're already seeing the positive results with our athletes. We've been wrestling now for well over a year, and the next two coaches I'm about ready to introduce, I have had the pleasure and honor to coach these two young men. And just to, again, give you a little bit of a background, all of our coaches that are involved in this aspect of it, they have all wrestled at a high level, either at the high school level, had a lot of success at the state level, some at the national level, and some of our coaching staff that are involved in this program also have wrestled in college as well. So just like boxing, we're not necessarily concerned about competition as much as teaching these athletes the right way. And we know that the competition down the road and the winning will just come naturally because they're learning properly the right way from our two coaches that are here with us today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our wrestling coaches, Benji and Luigi Yates, who, again, they've been on the department for a couple of years now, and they head up our wrestling program because I'm too old to do it now. And it's a young man's game. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Officer Luigi Yates to come up and say a few words.
Hi, I'm Luigi Yates, and I'm the wrestling coach alongside my brother Benji. When Lieutenant Lennox told us that we were going to be getting the opportunity to coach the POW wrestling team, we were beyond excited. Wrestling's been a huge part of both of our lives for a really long time, and most of that was learning under Lieutenant Lennox. And the thing that a lot of people don't get is wrestling's more than just a sport. It teaches hard work, leadership, discipline, and those are all lessons that I want to pass on to these kids. We're already going into year 2 of the wrestling program. We're just seeing so much growth already in these kids, and we're just excited for what the future holds.
All right, thank you, Luigi and Benji, for being here today. Last but not least, this initiative I'm really super excited about because this is another one of those initiatives that we've been talking about for several years. And this conversation actually started, I would want to say about 5 years ago with Mill Creek Township, Kim Clear, who has had a very influential on our program when she served as county council. So when Kim, got sworn in as the Mill Creek Township Supervisor, the conversations continued. Essentially, the plan was for Erie POW to try to get her foot in the ground, so to speak, out in Mill Creek. But what I wanted to do, essentially, because we know how impactful that our officers and our program kind of meshes together. So the vision out there was to get Mill Creek Police Department involved, to have their officers at the operational level take their own schools, work with their own kids in their community. That way that they could enjoy the benefit of seeing the positives that could come from that. And Chief Mook, when he became chief out at Mill Creek, he believed in the vision, the initiative. And what's been really cool every week is going over to Tracy Elementary, Chief, and to watch your officers just do what they do. Yesterday I was over at Tracy. There were 8 Mill Creek police officers over there at Tracy, and it was just fun to take a step back and just watch your officers immediately start establishing those relationships with the kids. And trust me, just like I tell our guys, just like now we're telling the Mill Creek officers, those kids will be an extended part of your family, and it's going to be fun to watch that growth and relationship for the next few years. So without further ado, the officers that are running a point out there in Mill Creek is Corporal Kyle Caldwell, Corporal Graham Perkins, who couldn't be with us today. And I would have to say the team leader of that initiative out there is Katrina Cole, who is a Mill Creek police officer out there in Mill Creek. And, you know, the sky's the limit out there. I've already received phone calls from other schools out there as inquiring as to when we're going to be in the next Mill Creek school. And that's going to be solely up to Mill Creek Police Department and their ability to grow and branch out there. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up Corporal Kyle Caldwell to come up and say a few words.
Thank you. Yeah, as Lieutenant Lennox said, we are in our first school. We have 21 kids at Tracy enrolled in the program, and we basically jumped in with both feet, hit the ground running, and it has been excellent so far. Everybody is buying into it, and it was more than time. Thank you to Supervisor Clear and Chief Muck for their support to allow us to begin this program. Multiple teachers are involved. The school security officers also that's assigned to Tracy is involved in this, and the principals have been showing up and attending the first few days, and they're over the moon with it. I got an email from Kelly Baresic, who's the assistant principal at Tracy, the next day after our first day, which was January 8th, our first Wednesday. More than half the kids showed up with their PAL shirts on. I don't know if that was misinformation from us, the push-ups, or they're just loving the program. I'd like to think it's the later, but it's been fantastic. Our plan to advance the program is basically to follow this group of core kids all the way through graduation. So 2026, we would look to get into 2 additional elementary schools and then go 3rd and 4th grade. 2027, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and get into the last 2 elementary schools, which would put us effectively in all of them. That's Tracy, Bell Valley, Chestnut Hill, Grandview, and Asbury. As those same group of kids loop up into middle school, we'll enter Walnut Creek, Westlake, and J.S. Wilson. And then by 2031, we will be in MIHS, and again, following these kids all the way through and be in every school in Mill Creek Township.
Man, that just put a big smile on my face. That is awesome. And for people that don't know, Corporal Caldwell, he's also a coach. He's been in a coaching game for a very extremely long time. So again, just like the Erie Police Department, they have a lot of solid mentors out there at Mill Creek Township Police Department. So very proud and honored to have them partnering with the city finally. Last but not least, I'd like to introduce Mill Creek Township Supervisor Kim Clear to come up and say a few words.
Wow, I can't believe we're here. I cannot believe it. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much to Mayor Schember for having Mill Creek Township here today. We are so happy to be here. And thank you to the PAL program for the mentorship they are giving so many students that will have generational impacts. To know that I'm not that far away from the classroom. I was just in the classroom a little more than 3 years ago. And the impact that adults can have in the lives of children cannot be underwhelming. We have to know that the time that we are taking with kids, whether it's age 8, 12, 15, or 18, will have a generational impact. And the fact that we have this many officers, this many men and women in blue that are willing to take service to the next level. They are serving their community by going back to where it all begins. Where can we form these friendships and alliances and trust with our officers? How can we reframe the narrative that is out there? And these men and women are doing that every day here in the Erie, here in the city of Erie. And now we get to do that in Mill Creek. And I am so, so proud that we are going to have a presence of PAL in Mill Creek Township, because understanding and knowing what that mentorship will mean, even as they become adults, and the fact that they may become mentors one day themselves, will have an impact that will last more than just their time in school. So thank you. Thank you for allowing Mill Creek Township to be a part of this. We are so proud. And thank you to all of our men and women in blue that are serving our community.
Okay, in conclusion, again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. The thing that I'm most proud of this program, and I'll leave it this, that regardless of who's in charge, what party's in control, our focus remains the same. And what I'm very proud about this program is we don't let the outside or the negative viewpoints on our profession or how we do things. Very proud that all of our officers, both of our chiefs, our board, our administration, and now Mill Creek's administration will not be deterred. We are going to stay focused because we know that we're all doing this to produce future leaders, not only in the city of Erie, but now throughout Erie County. So with that, I just want to thank everybody again for attending, continued support of this program. And just a reminder, February 18th, please come out and support, the POW boxing program, support the initiative of Knockout for Homelessness. And it'll give the public an opportunity to see the product that Detective Sergeant Stadler and Detective Sergeant Atala has been working on. So I thank you for attending. I'm going to bring the mayor back up here again, Mayor. Thank you for coming.
Well, that was very, very impressive. So I want to thank all of you for your leadership here and what you're doing. It's really, really, really great. Your service to our children is very impressive. I'm inspired by your commitment to building Erie's future, one child at a time. The men and women of the City of Erie Police Department are doing incredible work to ensure that our city is a safe place to live, work, play, and raise a family. And the same thing is happening in Mill Creek. We are happy to now partner with Chief Monk and the Mill Creek Township Police Department to further expand the reach of the PAL program and the impact on our entire region. We look forward to continuing this work for a very, very long time with all of you and many, many others as well. That concludes this week's press conference. Please continue to follow us on social media for the latest updates on everything happening here in the city of Erie. And everyone who spoke, and even people that haven't spoke, are now available for any interviews you might want to get. Thanks very much for being here. Appreciate it.